here at Welsh Ryan Arena. There's a good look at the pinner, Taylor Walsh, the junior, redshirt junior out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, having himself, as you said in the opening, Jim, quite a season, 22 pins, 15 in a row coming into this match. And there's Derek St. John, the NCAA champion, West Iowa City High School for the Hawkeyes.
Hey, you take a look at those falls. I mean, against Bruschetta, the unattached wrestler from Virginia Tech, here a real fine wrestler, and then Dustin McCauley, the red shirt from, actually the freshman from Nebraska. He's been well-traveled, Olympic Training Center here, a lot of success in international competition. Really launched him. That was one of the best moves I've seen in the whole tournament, was Walsh's headlock, and McCauley launched him, and out of the tournament, he never came back again to wrestle in the consolation. So he's just, when I say launching, he launched him out of the tournament.
St. John.
He's just the consummate tough guy. You know, you take a look at St. John. I mean, who wouldn't love to coach this guy? You know, just gives everything he has a style about him where, you know, I probably think 2/3 of the takedowns he gives are probably in the third period. You know, nothing really clean in the beginning. He's a taller wrestler than most of the opponents, not against Walsh, but he's a tall wrestler, and, you know, kind of keeps working the head, works the face a little bit, takes a lot of shots, and an excellent finisher of the his head to the outside shots, and a good single leg as well to the other side.
St. John, the third of 7 Hawkeyes in the finals. And Jim, you know, you coached at Iowa State, you came to the Midlands, but what kind of, with 22 out of the 50 Midlands titles that Iowa has, it must be something that these Hawkeyes feel like they have to protect. There's a pride about wrestling in the Midlands if you're an Iowa Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think that's why it's kind of a shock last year when they decided not to come, and I think that it probably affected their performance in the national duels. You know, they got to the semifinals and actually were beat in the semifinals and beat in the consolation matches by Virginia. So those back-to-back match situations that you get, and that's where you get 4 to 5 really good matches, are pretty important. That was a nice, beautiful single leg right there on Walsh. And this is just the solid wrestler that St. John is, and attacking below the waist.
2 points for St. John. He goes out front 2-0.
See the big move that's worked out there for, you know, when you're a thrower and a big move guy, one of the best places, look at that Corby Nelson there work.
Right? For the escape point, you get 2-1.
That's the perfect time to work on big moves when you're in the down position. When you threaten the guy to his back when he's riding you, all right, he wants nothing to do with it. So you get takedown, or you can give up more takedowns because you get escapes easier. And that's what that Walsh is about. He's about always trying to put a guy to his back.
Well, in the corner, the head coach, Dwayne Goldman, 4-time finalist for the Iowa Hawkeyes and an NCAA champion, and Nick Simmons had his own way of putting people on the back, the assistant coach there, and so I'm sure that he has had an effect in the room.
What was his moniker? The East Lansing Strangler? Yeah, yes. Just he worked that neck area pretty hard. Nice slide by there by nice work by. You just don't get anything easy on St. John. You know, he was Isaiah Martinez, the Illinois redshirt. First takedown sequence that they got into early in the tournament. I mean, one in 1,000 guys got out of that technique, and it was St. John. So he really had him lifted all the way up off. It was about ready to take him to the mat. Posted one more foot down, was able to create a scramble situation and score. But just great wrestling by St. John. I mean, he's, you know, Ed Ruth, David Taylor. You know, I'm starting to put this guy in that category. So I'm starting to put St.
Taylor Walsh's dad, Matt, and looking on and having himself quite a season as dad.
Yeah, doesn't get to see him wrestle much because he's putting guys away quickly. He'll go for it right in the top position here. Likes to work there on that cradle.
And he's got it locked up. Help the control of the wrist by St. John.
Yeah, notice how he has 2-on-1 on that wrist, and he's able to get the hips out. Now he's going to Walsh will work on a 2-on-1, but I just give St. John a lot of credit for being a tough guy. And like I said, he's not in the same category that maybe some of the returning national champions that have a lot more flair, but in their styles and put up a lot of back points. But he's just a tough guy to beat. Little blood timeout.
You talk about taking the territory. He's one that is always either protecting in the middle or taking territory too, St. John.
Yeah,
just pushing on you and just consistent.
And excellent. He finishes technique so well, and when he does get in a scramble situation, he ends up being in top. And again, he's got a lot of respect for Walsh. He hasn't tied. He's stayed free in the tie-ups. And Walsh hasn't forced the ties as much. He hasn't been desperate yet. We'll see if he can get something going here in the top position. You saw, listening to his dad there, you saw his dad go for the claw there. Now this is good work.
Reversal, 2 points. St. John out in front, 4-1.
And again, this is what St. John does real well. He works that tight waist ride, and he will float on a guy. We saw Mitchell Port float a little bit earlier from side to side. Where you're going to see with St. John is that his floating is really, when he gets into trouble, he'll drop back in on the leg. And I just think he's just an excellent finisher when he has a leg. And that's Matt's giving great advice here. Come up onto your feet because you want to get to your feet, because now you can go and do a low risk, high reward type of move and try to throw a St. John, but it's tough. When he being St. John is just riding that waist real high and chest.
Seven Hawkeyes in the finals after taking a year off from the Midlands, come back with a vengeance, and the team title not in jeopardy. They have scored a lot of points and already have a champion, Thomas Gilman, at 125, but an upset loss at 133. Tony Ramos getting pinned by Joe Colon from UNI. And here is Derek St. John, the third Iowa Hawkeye in the finals, third of 7.
So see how St. John is able to go ahead and keep all the weight on Walsh's hands. So Walsh can't step back into him. Of course, he's got that ankle out there pretty far. This is, he's not really trying to turn him at all, just trying to control him. And a lot of times you get called for stalling on that. But, you're waiting for a guy to go ahead and do that, hit that inside switch. And you do an inside switch against an ankle ride, just like putting a saddle on yourself.
There's Dwayne Goldman on the right, Nick Simmons on the left. The coaching corner for the Indiana Hoosiers. One of 5 Big Ten teams to have finalists. Indiana, Purdue, Illinois each with 1, Michigan with 2, the Hawkeyes with 7.
But all the weight is forward. Watch Walsh, and it's a function of St. John's pressure forward. See, he's going to look at the wrinkle in the back of his neck, and he's ready to go and explode through. And just like some of the other championship wrestlers we've seen, they don't give you anything cheap in the bottom position.
Here we go. Shot. Cover.
Matt Walsh, the father of Taylor Walsh, hasn't had to deal with much of this third period action with all the early falls by his son. 15 in a row by the man on the bottom right there. Coming into this match, 22 total for the season, but he's up against the defending NCAA champion, Derek St. John from Iowa, who's out in front 4-1. Also has riding time build up close to a minute and a half.
There's the neck wrench right there. And this is okay, because now he can go ahead and get it. See how the respect that St. John had right there. You try some of those big moves like that, and now he's attacking the other side.
Well, did you see how he kept his shoulder and his head into the chest there? Got the 2 points, and Terry Brands, assistant coach to his brother Tom, stands up and shows his approval. Terry on the right, the black shirt there.
I think he wanted some back points. I don't think those back points were there. But so now,
minute left in the regulation. St. John out in front, 6-2. And now the kitchen sink is what Taylor Walsh is looking
If
for.
you're going to be a pinner at the college level, you're going to go ahead and you know, you got to think that way at all times. And even down 6-3 with riding time, 40 seconds, you know, see what his
5-point move wins
his
it.
go-to 5-point move. And everybody should be working on this at the tournament level and for tournament competition. What's your go-to big move? Because a lot of times you might be down by big points and you got to hit something. We'll see if Walsh has thought about it.
Not there.
2 points.
St. John just too steady. It hasn't been easy for St. John.
Let it ride. Let it
Overtime
ride.
match against Jordan from Wisconsin.
3.
Approval from the family of St. John. There, oh, Dad happy.
Ankle.
And the NCAA champion gives himself a Midlands championship. Derek St. John, the winner by decision, and the pin streak has ended.
There's the takedown to the other side, the one that you like, Tim, there, where he's able to drive across and keep himself in good position. And Taylor Walsh just outmatched today.
And the glee of the Hawkeye fans, the family, and Dad's pretty cool there on the left.